In the ultra-competitive universe of the automotive industry, where every innovation can mean the difference between leadership and obsolescence, there is a silent yet fundamental game, that of competitive intelligence. It is in this scenario that Tesla, often seen as a disruptor and a benchmark in technology, also reveals itself as a keen observer, dedicated to understanding and, when necessary, surpassing its competitors. What few know is that, behind the futuristic lines of its vehicles and the charisma of Elon Musk, there is a systematic and meticulous process of acquiring, disassembling, and analyzing rival vehicles. This is a common practice in the sector, but in Tesla's context, it takes on strategic and, at times, almost cinematic contours. Since its early years, Tesla was forced to take unconventional paths. When the company was still seen as an uncertain promise, many traditional suppliers hesitated to do business with it, fearing financial risks. This distrust forced Tesla to develop internal competencies that, over time, turned into competitive advantages. Vertical integration of processes, mastery over the supply chain, and above all, an engineering culture oriented toward experimentation and continuous learning. In this environment, the practice of buying and dismantling competitors' vehicles is not just a technical curiosity, but a vital necessity. By acquiring models from established brands or new entrants in the electric vehicle market, Tesla seeks to understand, in detail, how its rivals are solving engineering challenges, reducing costs, integrating electronic systems, and innovating in design. The process is confidential and involves multidisciplinary teams, ranging from mechanical engineers to software and manufacturing specialists. Every component dismantled is cataloged, analyzed, and often compared with internal solutions. The goal is not simply to copy, but to identify opportunities for improvement, anticipate trends, and, when possible, create even more efficient solutions. This movement does not happen in a vacuum. Competitive benchmarking, as it is called in industry jargon, is a well-established practice among global automakers. Companies like Ford, Toyota, Volkswagen, and GM maintain entire departments dedicated to purchasing and dismantling competitors' vehicles. There are even firms specialized in this type of analysis, such as Munro and Associates, which provide detailed reports for clients worldwide. The value of these reports can be astronomical, especially when it comes to innovative models like the Tesla Model 3. It is not uncommon for companies to pay multiple times the market value of a vehicle just to ensure priority access to a unit for disassembly. The Model 3 case is emblematic. When it hit the market, it quickly became the target of a real race for teardown. Engineers from German, Japanese, and American automakers competed for the first units, often paying exorbitant amounts and facing customs barriers to bring the car to their labs. The goal was clear: to understand how Tesla had managed to integrate power electronics, batteries, and autonomous driving systems so efficiently and, above all, at such competitive costs. The results of these analyses were surprising. Reports from companies like Nikkei business publications pointed out that Tesla was, in certain aspects, about 6 years ahead of competitors in terms of hardware and software integration. The full self-driving computer, or Hardware 3, was described as a game-changer, capable of redefining the automotive industry's supply chain. The reaction from competitors was immediate. Traditional brands, accustomed to slower innovation cycles and dependent on external suppliers for electronic systems, realized they would have to rethink their strategies. In internal meetings, engineers from German giants admitted they couldn't replicate the integration achieved by Tesla without a profound restructuring of their processes. The shock was not only technological but also cultural. Tesla had shown that it was possible to break with century-old paradigms and accelerate the pace of innovation. But anyone who thinks Tesla limits itself to being the target of this type of analysis is mistaken. On the contrary, the company also invests heavily in competitive intelligence. By acquiring vehicles from brands like Lucid, Rivian, BYD, and even traditional Ford and Volkswagen, Tesla's internal team seeks to map advances and identify potential threats. The focus is not only on already consolidated technologies but also on emerging solutions, such as new battery formats, innovative electronic architectures, and lean manufacturing processes. The teardown of a rival vehicle is an almost ritualistic process. It all starts with the discreet acquisition of the model, often through intermediaries to avoid exposure. Once in the lab, the car is photographed, weighed, and subjected to an initial operational analysis. Next comes the systematic disassembly. Each part is removed, catalogued, and evaluated for materials, manufacturing processes, and integration with other systems. Engineers seek to understand not just the how, but the why of each design decision. For example, a new battery assembly method may indicate an attempt to reduce costs or increase energy density. A differentiated infotainment system may signal a bet on user experience as a competitive differentiator. This process generates a huge amount of data, which is cross-referenced with market information, patents, and technological trends. The analysis is not limited to hardware. Embedded software, energy management algorithms, and even remote update strategies are dissected in search of insights. The goal is to build a complete picture of the competitor's capabilities, and from there, set internal development priorities. Competitive intelligence directly feeds Tesla's strategic decisions. A recent example is the adoption of the unboxed production concept, which proposes assembling vehicles from large submodules, eliminating the traditional linear assembly line. This approach, which promises to cut costs by up to 50% and reduce factory space by 40%, was inspired not only by internal advances but also by observations about limitations and opportunities identified in competitor teardowns. By understanding where rivals lose efficiency or face production bottlenecks, Tesla can anticipate solutions and maintain its competitive edge. The impact of this strategy goes beyond the final product. The verticalization of the supply chain, for example, was accelerated after analyses showed the excessive dependence on suppliers and other automakers. By internalizing the development of batteries, motors, and electronic systems, Tesla gained control over costs, quality, and deadlines, in addition to protecting trade secrets and accelerating innovation cycles. This proactive stance is also reflected in its relationship with industry startups. By dismantling vehicles from emerging companies, Tesla quickly identifies which technologies deserve attention and which can be dismissed as passing fads. However, the practice of dismantling competitors' vehicles is not without ethical dilemmas and legal challenges. Although it is a legal and accepted activity in the sector, there is a fine line between technical analysis and intellectual property infringement. Therefore, the teams involved follow strict protocols to ensure that the knowledge acquired is used legitimately, respecting patents and avoiding any risk of litigation. Moreover, confidentiality is paramount. Few employees have access to the teardown labs, and the results of the analyses are shared only with the company's strategic areas. The future of competitive intelligence at Tesla points to even greater sophistication. With the advancement of electrification, connectivity, and autonomous driving, the number of variables to be monitored grows exponentially. The company is already investing in artificial intelligence to cross-reference teardown data with market information, accelerating the identification of trends and threats. The expectation is that, in the coming years, the analysis of rival vehicles will involve not only hardware and software, but also telemetry data, usage patterns, and even digital service monetization strategies. Ultimately, the process of dismantling and analyzing competitors' vehicles is a central piece in Tesla's innovation engine. It allows the company to keep its finger on the market's pulse, anticipate rivals' moves, and, above all, continue pushing the boundaries of what is possible in the automotive industry. For the American public, accustomed to associating Tesla with the image of cutting-edge innovation and boldness, it may be surprising to discover that behind every revolutionary launch, there is also a silent work of observation, learning, and adaptation. It is this balance between creative genius and analytical pragmatism, that keeps Tesla at the forefront of a technological race that is just beginning.